Indian Army at one point was stuck after the Battle of Hilli in the northwestern sector, and there were maximum casualties. To open a new access, 21 Rajput distinguished in the Battle of Khansama and opened the route to Dhaka. 21 Rajput earned Battle Honour Khansama for their valor. Maj Gen A Parmar Vishesha Seva Medal was part of this journey of excellence. Maj Gen Parmar is an alumnus of DSSC Wellington and High Command. He commanded 21 Rajput, 37 Brigade and 4 Mountain Division, besides being Provost Marshal of Indian Army. Post-retirement, he has been an excellent, which he has always been an excellent golfer. He was Director General, Indian Golf Union, and represented India in Asia Pacific Golf Championship in 2007. He is also the chairman of Strive. He is he is going to cover Battle of Khansama. Over to Gen Parmar.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm told we are slightly running out of time. So very quickly, I'll cover the Battle of Khansama, where my battalion took part, 21 Rajput took part, and we got the battle honor for that. But before I discuss the battle as such, very quickly, let me recapitulate the events that had taken place till then. 71 Mountain Brigade, of which my battalion was part of, was directly under 34. And the task given to 71 Brigade was to advance along the northern highway, which started from Pachagar down to Boda, Thakurgaon, and come up to Kantanagar, and in the process, expand the Siliguri corridor by about 120 kilometers. So the operation started on 29th of November, and by 6th December, the brigade had in capturing the towns of Pachagar, Boda, and had concentrated at Thakurgaon, and we were poised to launch an attack on Kantanagar. Unfortunately, 3 attacks by one of our battalions on Kantanagar bridge did not succeed. And enemy, after each attack, had been reinforcing the location. And by 9th, we realized that Kantanagar bridge had become a very formidable obstacle. By then, 71 Mountain Brigade had also come on the orbit of 6 Mountain Div. And on 10th, the GOC decided that there's no point butting your head against a very well fortified locality. And we must open a subsidiary access to Saidpur. Now, Saidpur was about 30 kilometers further southeast of Kantanagar. Accordingly, on 11th of December, my CO was called to brigade headquarters and was given the task to capture Khansama by last light, 13th of December. Now, Khansama is a small township located on the eastern bank of river Buri Tista. And enemy, knowing its tactical importance, had deployed a strong company plus forces there, about 4 platoons of regulars. And he had beefed up the defenses by also placing about 60 to 65 Razakars. Razakars were the paramilitary forces there. And in terms of weapons, this locality had 1 additional HMG section, 1 additional MMG section, and a section of 81mm mortars. From the Mukti Bahani sources, we learned that they had seen mining activities on the southern, eastern, and northern side of the township. The west was protected by the river as it is. So we were now to capture a 4 platoon locality, reinforced by about 60 to 65 Razakars. Now, 11th, when the task was given to the CO, the whole day virtually got written off in the various battle procedures. A battalion was located about 20 kilometers further down south. So battalion had to be reeled in and to a place called Beerganj, which was about 10 kilometers south of Khansama. And by the time all this was done, 11th was over. So CO virtually had just one day, that is 12th of December, to carry out any worthwhile reconnaissance of the objective. Obviously, one day was not enough. So CO requested the brigade commander that I want 2 helicopters, and his aim was to at least take all the platoon commanders and company commanders in a couple of sorties and at least show the objective from the air. So they must know what lay ahead of them and at least had one good look of the objective. So while this was being done, the next task was to find a suitable crossing place on this river Buri Tista. Actually, this amounted to first, in phase 1, to cross the river, and in phase 2, to launch attack on Khansama. The reconnaissance of the river narrowed down to 3 possible crossing places, but not going into a lot of detail due to shortage of time. The crossing place that was selected by the CO was the southern crossing place, which was about 6 kilometers south of Khansama. Here, the river had branched out into 2 channels, so which made the width of the river a little wide, but the water channel had become a little shallower. From the air reconnaissance and from the reports from Mukti Bahani, we learned that enemy had deployed the 4 platoons by putting a platoon lesser section reinforced by Razakars to guard the western approach, which was hugging the river line. There was a platoon guarding the north of Khansama. An enemy being very sensitive to the road access had a platoon with in very solid concrete bunkers and approximately platoon plus guarding the southern approach. While discussing the timing of attack and due to shortage of time, CO proposed that the attack should be launched on the morning of 30, which was initially turned down by the brigade headquarters for various reasons. And it took a lot of persuasion and arguments, and ultimately the CO prevailed upon the brigade that let the attack be launched on the morning of 30. The battalion had, in addition to your own resources, had the fire support of a mountain regiment, a field battery, and a medium battery. And in addition, we had 2 troops of Pt-76 tanks, ex-69 Armor Regiment, but they were only in fire support role. So the plan was made, and CO asked for 2 sorties, air sorties on the objective, which again was initially turned down due to lack of air effort. So very broadly, the broad outline plan was that one company, that was Charlie Company, will secure the crossing place on these 2 river channels by 4 o'clock in the morning of 13 December. Then Delta Company will cross over and secure the forward assembly area and the area of the likely FUP. And the battalion, less these 2 companies, was to finish the crossing of the river and deploy in the forward assembly area latest by 7:30 in the morning. The HR that was selected that time was 8 o'clock. And accordingly, the brigade headquarters finally approved the plan. And on the night of 12th and 13th, the machinery started rolling, the Charlie Company moved out. And by 4 o'clock, they confirmed that without any opposition, without any problems, they have secured the crossing places, and they rustled in the Delta Company. Delta Company quickly waded through, and by 5:30, they had secured the forward assembly area. And following on the heels of Delta Company, battalion crossed. And 7:30, the entire battalion had concentrated in the area of forward assembly area. Now here I must mention that while selecting the approaches for attack, we realized that there were 4 possible options. I mean, naturally, one was north, south, east, west. North was the longest approach. We had to traverse approximately 16 kilometers, go up north, cross the river, and come down again 4 kilometers. And this entire move was going to be out in the open, in the paddy fields. So it was dropped. The western approach, the river was hugging the objective, and we found that after crossing the river, there was hardly any area where the battalion could have formed up. So this would have meant actually attacking from the river itself. That was dropped. Eastern was, enemy was very sensitive. So finally, the CO selected the southern approach for one good reason, that after crossing the river, there was a fair number of bamboo groves in that area and some mango groves. So the CO felt that being a day attack, this will provide fair amount of cover for the troops to close in with the enemy objective, enemy defenses. Well, I was doing adjutant, and at 7:30, suddenly I got a call from the BM that, Abby, your airstrike has been sanctioned, and the TOT is 9 o'clock on the objective, and you should be at least 2,000 meters away from the objective till the airstrike is over. CO was very unhappy. He says, now this amounted to totally readjusting your time plan, pulling back Delta Company, which had already reached the FUP area by 1,000 meters. But anyway, we waited for the airstrike to come, and sharp at 9 o'clock, these two hunters, what Air Marshal Masan mentioned, from Hashimara, they came, and I had not seen, the battalion had not seen any live airstrike on objective. We were all crouching in the paddy field, and suddenly these two hunters came, and they took on the objective. One fighter aircraft will come down, align itself along the road. The second will go up and circle around the objective. So these aircrafts came down, dived, strafed the area, bombed, rocketed, whatever they wanted to do, offloaded all their ordnance, and by about 9:20, they had finished the job. And I think they had seen us in the paddy field. So while flying out, they flew very low over us, and they kind of flapped their wings. And as if to say, you guys, we've done our bit. Now it's all your show. Good luck. Go ahead. And we had to postpone the HR to 10 o'clock. So 10 o'clock, the CO gave the go-ahead to the assaulting companies to launch the attack. Now, while covering the plan, I missed out to tell you that the attack was to be launched by two companies, Alpha and Bravo companies, with the Charlie company being reserved for phase 2. So the companies were launched, and enemy by now was very sure that attack was coming from south. And the moment our own RT fire plan was over, the enemy opened up with the DFs, of water DFs and RTDF, and the attacking companies in the area between the FUP and the objective came under very accurate and intense enemy mortar DFs and RTDFs. So that is the time our BC activated our medium battery, and within about 10 minutes, the enemy RTDF, enemy RT fire was neutralized, but enemy kept on firing the mortars. So these two companies, Alpha and Bravo companies, they launched the attack through the minefield. And first, about 100, 200 meters, they managed to sail through without major casualties. But when they were about 200 yards short of the objective, two flanking bunkers of the Southern Platoon. The Southern Platoon actually had two additional sections which we did not know at that time. So it was facing about 5-section frontage. So from the two flanks, the HMGs opened up on the attacking troops, and they came under very intense and heavy automatic fire. And at one stage, it appeared that the attack had started stalling. Now, a very spectacular thing happened at this stage. One Lance Naik, Bahadur Singh, and one Subedar Prem Singh of Bravo Company, they decided to silence these two HMG bunkers, and they took two 57mm RCLs, and they started creeping up towards the bunkers, and they destroyed these two HMG bunkers. Unfortunately, Lance Naik Bahadur, he died. He became a casualty in trying to neutralize the bunker. But after these two bunkers were silenced, the progress the companies made were much faster. And by 12 o'clock, they had contacted the depth sections of the platoon there. NB was determined to fight it out and was giving a very determined fight from these bunkers. That's not willing to vacate. And that is the time CO decided to push in Charlie Company and asked the company to come behind the Southern Platoon and try to tackle the objective from that side. Charlie Company very quickly moved in, and by about 12:30, they had got themselves lodged in between the company headquarters, which was in the center, in the area of Dak Bungalow, which was on a slightly high ground, between the company headquarters and the southern platoon. This move probably unnerved the enemy very badly, and they started vacating and running away from the defenses. By this time, Bravo Company had also encircled the company headquarters, but company headquarters had the support of one additional Razakar platoon. They were all in defenses, and we were finding it difficult to capture the bunkers of company headquarters. So this is the time Seo, in kind of a violation to the brigade orders, he got one troop of tanks from the roadblock area and asked the troop commander to knock off these bunkers which had held up the attack process. And very happily, the tanks took on this task, and in about 20 minutes, about 4 to 5 bunkers which were visible to them, they were knocked off. And one such bunker was the company commander's command post. So when this happened, the company commander came out along, and he surrendered along with the 18 other personnel. And by about 2 o'clock, we had captured Khansama. And in the process, we had captured 1 officer, 1 GSO, and 18 other ranks. There were many other casualties which later were recovered from the trenches. But by 4 o'clock, we gave success signal to brigade quarter that Khansama has been captured. At this stage, the RTOP, the Air OP, that time Major Sehota, who later became Army Commander, he reported that a kind of a counterattack is building up from southeast, but that was neutralized purely by artillery fire. And by about 5:30, we had reorganized ourselves in the defenses, and by 15th morning, the axis Pachagar, Darwani, Saidpur was opened. Now, in this attack, the battalion got 3 VRCs, 3 Sena medals, and 2 mentioned in dispatches. And subsequently, we also got the battle honor of Khansama. And this ended 21 Rajput's attack on Khansama, which became a history in itself.